mean
Yeah.
video call. Video call means video call. We
Hey, hi,
regularly
Amar.
talk on phones. Yeah, yeah,
Of course, yeah, yeah, and yeah, it's really nice to get on a platform. We talk otherwise. Yeah. So this is
yeah,
nice
yeah.
to meet you, and thanks for arranging this session. I was eager to join your.
Like from my side, I really appreciate, like I just told you my idea what I am going to do is like the reason was like as you know, we were in a project when I started my career. You were there at that time, and there are a lot of people, you are there, Ketan is there, Manoj is there, Altaf is there. There are a lot of people are there into service
Yeah.
now space, but because of their personal commitments, they are not able to share the views. Okay, what so I know you guys know very much about service now. Okay, so I just wanted, like, let's say your 1 hour, then next time I will go with someone else, and
Yeah.
your expertise is needed to the service now community, and
Yeah.
I really appreciate. I just told you my idea, and you took this in a positive way, and you are here in right in front of
Sure,
me.
sure, sure,
Okay.
Amar. Yeah, I mean, you're doing great. I mean, very happy with looking at your journey. So, and this concept of yours, I like the concept. Sharing our journeys, to folks who are looking forward, folks who are looking at, a similar path and trying to get, going. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, they can at least hear it out. I mean, they definitely can follow their own paths. But yes, I mean, sharing experience is something that will always help. Yeah, thank you.
Correct, correct. So let's start, Nilesh. Like, as we have very less time, you're busy, I'm a busy guy. So let's start. So let's start with your introduction. Like many of us, like many of the people know you by Nilesh Satam, the Nilesh Satam, who is into service now from long time, but they don't know the background. How you came into service now? What was your background? Like from your college time, from your university time, when you graduated, then you were into IT or not? You were in non-IT or what? And then how this service now came into your life? This is my open question. Now
Okay,
over to
and
you.
that's a long one, so I will
Yeah, I know, I know.
I'll try to
That's
do
the
enough.
reason I told
Yeah,
over to you. Over to you.
sure, sure. So I'll try to make good justice to it. So of course, it's as you and many of our colleagues, who are still connected, they are aware. But yes, I mean, uh, for introduction. So I have completed, my engineering, you know, in 1999, and I had completed from the electronics, stream. Of course, like still remembering good old days, like those times, being an engineer or a doctor was the only thing that was on everyone's mind, and so we were one of them. So post graduation, of course, like that was the time, just the dot-com era had just gone. There were the opportunities would come only if you had an experience, and those kind of things started. There was a lot of competition. So yes, of course, like started off with some jobs with technical consulting, training, microprocessors, to anything that you can call. I was into
Eight
some
zero
part of
eight eight
teaching.
five 8085
Yeah,
8051.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, even thinking about those things like will make us remember. But yeah, you really brought them to my mind right now. And post that, yeah, I mean, I did so part of my journey was in also into sales at the start, because I wanted to be in the R&D department, but getting into the R&D department wasn't very easy. So I was offered, like at least work for some time in sales, and then so yes, I mean, it was you can't call it very easy. It was tough, yes, but we always had the something to do. So post that, we definitely got into some GIS company, wherein it was a completely different zone for me. But since something I had done in the past, that always helped me. And this is something, like which I remember, because I had done a course for AutoCAD in my vacation time in my school time, but that helped me gain a job. So
Mm.
I read somewhere in one of your blogs, you like certifications. I never went for certification, but this particular training helped me even get a good job. My salary immediately increased that time. And yeah, I mean, that was it. Post that, I really wanted to be in a good IT company. So trained hard, worked on, improving my skills on Oracle 9i that time, or 9i to 10i, and PL SQL skills, for which I could really get into the core IT, wherein I was able to start with some proper ticketing tools like PPM, to name, like, I mean, yeah, very old, it was named as Quintana. A lot of oldies
Quintana.
from my zone will know. Yeah, I have groups by that name. I mean, friends from that zone who are still in touch. So yeah, I mean, post that, I think the only big change was ServiceNow.
It was the tool of HP, right? HP Quintana.
Correct. Yeah. So
Correct.
it had different names. Like, yes, I mean, ITG borrowed it. Then after that, HP took over. So it was called HP PPM. But
Quintana.
yes, I mean, very grateful to that tool, that my stepping stone into the service now was nothing but HP PPM, and lot of folks like me would also agree to me, if they hear me out. It actually helped, because once you have a background of an ITSM ticketing tool,
Yes.
you already know the concepts. Yes, little things change, or maybe as you go deep, into the actual configurations and all, many things might change. But yes, knowing ITSM, or the ITIL, foundations and all, does help you, get an easy entry into service now, at least for starters. So that's how my journey started on tools perspective. Yes, I mean, all those companies, for which we work, very few, but yes, I mean, it was a long term, like 15 years
Journey.
working for one company was something. And that is where I met you, in like, maybe after 7 years of my journey in that company, I met you. But yes, I mean, enough memories over there, because that is where I understood, team, what is a team,
Hmm.
what are people, the leads. I mean, I remember all of them. Of course, the the experts, you already named them, Altaf, Kaitan, and everyone, so we all
Rohit
what we
Gera,
said, Rohit
Farooq,
Gera. Yeah,
Farooq.
suddenly remembering all of them,
Yeah.
so yeah, in fact, when I joined, there were people like Rupali and all, with whom I started the journey. But ServiceNow journey was completely, I mean, it was one of its kind, because maybe the first ServiceNow project that I got and I had to start working on, in 2 weeks I had to go to an on-site position. And like, in 2 weeks I got to learn from people who were already working on it, like Ketan. And in 2 weeks, whatever I learned, I went there. But I had a very good on-site support over there, my friend Altaf. And
Hmm.
I think, see, I mean, it was about just adapting, and it was about but the customer for whom we worked, they were also equally helpful. Right, this was right in somewhere in 2012, somewhere, or wherein I don't know, but a lot of people had to learn from the experiences, or of others. There was nothing called ServiceNow community that so apparent, like, or much in use, even on Google. I don't know how many people would really get to search what they really want and all. So you
And
kind of
if you remember, Nilesh, we were in a ODC and we did not had the that much access of Google as well. We were just
yeah,
allowed to use Wiki because of
correct,
that ODC system. We were in a lot of
absolutely,
what
yeah,
you say restrictions of networks. So
yeah,
that was one more thing. So we
yeah,
had to run our brains. We have to call you or we have to call someone who has worked on it. Then only we will get the solution. So
of course,
internet
yeah,
was not the thing for us. We were like a people oriented guys at that time.
yeah. I mean, we always said, right, do you know how does this work? Like, even before configuring anything, you need to know the logic. The basic programming skills were always a must for everyone. So anyone who is coming there, I mean, and if someone wants to really work into it, come on, today you have a package already defined for us.
Hmm.
So if you want to be an admin, you have to pass the CSA, and while trying for the CSA itself, you cover a lot of concepts. And so, but having a knowledge of the programming, the basic programming concepts, or what was taught to us during the initial stages of our education, that really it's something that you get on your own, and how to mix it. with your work. It's
I
something that
remember
you
I
used to
was
do.
very scared of scripting. Then you used to tell me, oops, Amarjit, that's all. If you know oops, you know service now.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
was your
Yeah,
line.
and this was fun, right? I mean, trying to get or learn newer things. This is something also very nice about this particular product. That it doesn't stop. I mean, every day there is something new coming in. In
New
fact,
comment.
if we are too busy in our deliveries and we are trying to deliver, sometimes we think like, I mean, I need some space or some time, but that is a must for the today's generation, or what the projects are currently going on, because things change suddenly. People want different ways of sharing their project work, or even configuring. I mean, configuring is something that is
Yes, sir.
defined, but yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, what you apply is what you talk with the customer, and how you define what you are going to present with your solutions. And if they like it for the first time, they are going to stay with you. That's how it's
correct.
going to be. Yeah.
So there are a lot of out of the box configuration or out of the box capabilities already there,
Mm.
and we have to show to the customers, then only they will be convinced. And
Yeah.
now service now is all about low code no code, so they don't want customization. But
Yeah.
we have a background, let's say you had a most of that background.
Yeah.
We come up from an idea where everything was customized at that time where we
Yeah.
were working.
Of
But
course.
now the things have changed, as you said. Like, we need to showcase to the client the perfect things, how this out of the box flow works properly from end to end. So
Yeah.
like initially it was just like, just change the states of incident, it will go to resolve and automatically it
Right.
will get closed. But now things have changed. Service now has looked after all the customers, they understand the need of the customers. And the syncing of additional comments from one incident to another incident, from one
Yeah.
case to another. So that is all out of the box. Previously it was not there, Nilesh, and we
Yeah.
used to customize it, write the business rule, and it was very hard to maintain. But now when it is out of the
Of course.
box.
So
Yeah.
that brings me, like, even today, if I get in a call with a new customer, or say, like, I mean, if there is a new module, suppose we start with incident. By the
Hmm.
way, I'm very lucky that, I have built a lot of ServiceNow instances from scratch for many of the projects.
Yes.
Not only because we started earlier, like, with the folks that we mentioned, but even, like, during the old days, like, there were some new customers who started with a new box, and so there were different experience during that time. And even recently, like, when you try to build up a new instance from scratch, it's completely like, there are
That's the real
steps.
experience. That's the
Yeah,
real
that's a
experience.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if you get to work on an instance which is already built, yes, we know that we are going to work on process. But having to get in touch with all the different IT teams, and first making the foundation. So I'm not
Yes.
going to talk the pre-sales team, they who usually promise a lot and they sell
Uh,
everything. So we know. But yes, I mean, when we get the instance procured, and when you get the first email from ServiceNow that dear Nilesh Satam, this is your instance, this is your password,
Instance
and
with
you are
with
the first one to get into the instance.
with users like Abel Tutor, Beth Aglin
Yeah,
into it.
correct.
The demo
Yeah,
data into it.
yeah, yeah.
Then
So this is
raise a request with
uh,
ServiceNow to wipe the data, and then we
correct.
can work on it.
And then we can work on it. Yeah. So, and then you decide whether to keep the demo data on, whether to simply disable it, and all those kind of.
No,
And then you go for the first piece, like, I mean, if any new one who is hearing us, the very first thing, any organization today, if I'm not wrong, it's either you are using the ServiceNow SSO page, for the login, or your organization already has a SSO enabled instance, wherein you do
correct.
the first integration for your organization as the SSO
Organize
integration.
and AD
And I
sync,
believe,
and with that
yeah,
AD sync, Nilesh. Yeah,
and with that the AD sync, yeah.
AD
And
sync.
then you decide, whether you do it from Azure AD, or whether you brought a LDAP sync, or
LDAP. But
yeah.
yeah,
So all
usually
those
now
different
everyone is,
authentication.
yeah, yeah. That is a different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, once you set up your instance, I would say, like, after that, what are the basic things, what we do in ServiceNow. And a lot of people have all the logs for that. whether you set up one instance and then you copy your instance to the other instance. So usually you decide whether you will go for a single instance. That is too, risky. But yes, nobody can just keep working and on the go. So usually you prefer at least one dev and one prod, or it could be a one dev, one QA, and one prod instance.
And one
So,
sandbox. If
and one
customer is,
sandbox. Yeah,
if
if
customer is
customer
very
is
rich,
going to
then
pay. Yeah,
sandbox.
yeah,
With this
yeah.
one experience, and Nilesh, I need to share, like, if you have bought this new
Mm-hmm,
instance topic. So I had a project like, so I was in my previous organization. I had a project like, the client was on our shared instance. So we had our own, MSP instance where we have multiple clients, domain separated. So whenever they feel like now they have enough money, they can buy their own instance, and that project also comes to us. So that was the theory behind this, having this MSP instance. So they had that much amount of money now, and they wanted to move from shared to this dedicated instance.
dedicated instance.
So as you said, lot of workshops, trainings, but the thing was like they wanted an e-bonding integration. That's the reason I bought this topic. They wanted
Mm-hmm,
an
mm-hmm.
e-bonding integration because they did not wanted to have this migration at the same time on the technical go live or the go live date. So they wanted
Got
to
it.
give their agents or the fulfillers little bit of time to do the transition. So from the shared instance, whenever an incident is created, it will flow here, and
Got
whenever
it.
a incident, some of the engineers are there, they have understood the new instance, so they can raise an incident here as well. So it was a
Mm-hmm.
bi-directional, creation of
Got
the
it.
ITSM
Yeah,
modules. So it was fun. That's that kind
yeah,
of level of work when we do, as you said, when you do from
yeah.
a scratch, you get a confidence, and you are
Absolutely.
enough to
See,
crack the interview, any interview,
yeah,
because as you
correct.
said, SSO will come, then AD sync will come, whole
Yeah,
picture comes. It's a holistic
correct.
view of service now.
Yeah, and we
That's
have to
what.
live it. Basically, this same experience of yours, like I think, like I have gone through it more than couple of times.
Mm,
Simple. The questions that you ask to your customer, anyone, do you, simply as you already clarified it to me that they don't want to, simply migrate the data itself.
migrate.
They
Yes.
just want to, have the newer request coming over there. Fair enough. The customer was smart enough to decide that, sometimes, customers want their old legacy data also in the newer
Mm,
instance. That is when you have to do some additional work wherein
migration.
you
Yeah.
will try to, again, when you do that, you will have to explain to the customer if there were any customizations, they won't come over, because we are, completely a new
New.
scratch instance. So yeah, so basically, that will be an additional effort if the customer is too adamant on, so those are the things that you discuss with the customer upfront. You vision what the customer is having the same vision.
Yeah.
Once you
Correct.
have that vision, you can decide easily and lay down the points, so okay, this was done. And as you mentioned, like, the ITSM, not necessarily changes or, change request or even request item. So this was one, trickier one. Sometimes, you just want to bring only the tasks, the catalog task behind the request. You don't want the entire picture, how many dependencies you are
I
going to
did
create.
that. Nilesh,
Yeah,
I did that. So same
yeah,
thing was there, as you said. The same
yeah.
same configuration was there. They
Mm,
used to create SC task directly. There is no RITM, there is no request there in the shared
correct.
instance. It was just
Yeah,
SC task. Now, as an architect, I wanted to, because this is a new instance, I cannot play with this new instance. So what I
yeah.
did is like, I was creating an SC task, and behind it with the APIs, I used to create the RITM, I used to create the
RITM
request,
and
and I used
yeah,
to keep this parent-child relationships intact so that the
yeah.
system is not getting,
Absolutely, I get
deteriorated.
that idea. Correct. So once
That
this
was
is
fun.
done, now you never had the approvals in them. So
Yeah.
basically, for 250 or 300 odd requests which you pulled, they can't show you the same metrics.
Hmm.
Correct,
Correct.
like
Correct.
the other requests which are directly created in your new instance. So that is where, again, if if of course you have done that already, but when we are doing, suppose now if you have done it with your own ID,
Uh,
okay, then when you go to the service portal, you are going to see all those requests on your queue.
my name. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, these are points to ponder, small things, but as you very much clearly said, once you have the vision clear, once we
Presently,
know
yes.
what exactly is needed, what is supposed to be presented to the customer. And yes, the very first most thing, what I think is, whenever these kind of projects happen, the customer is too keen on achieving the go live date. So, considering that, whether we are, considering all the aspects of the project, wherein, you have already tested, whether your new instance is running fine, whether,
And
users are able to log in into the instance, whether through the ServiceNow login page or through the SSO configuration, whether all those testing is done. And then, but obviously, whenever we come into ServiceNow, the main concept of, the roles, wherein,
Mm,
how an ideal user can see, and where an end user can see, where he can be
that
redirected
is
to
very
the
important.
end
Correct.
user portal. So yeah, so it was
Yeah.
really like, this was one good experience in,
Mm.
the past few years as well. Like, as we keep getting newer customers, this, setting up of the instance, and then, managing those instance, and then growing it into a full fledged, and then, going to the next level, where, it is transformation stage. So
It's a
this is
pride.
how.
It's a pride. It's a
Yeah,
pride. I have done this. I
absolutely.
have done this integration.
Yeah,
If it
yeah,
works properly, then it's a pride. If it does
yeah,
not work, then also it's a pride. I will fix it. I will fix it.
yeah,
No
yeah.
issue. So
That's
so
a very
Nilesh,
good line to end with,
yeah,
because you should know how to fix, then, if you know how to fix, then, if anyone breaks, even you can break it, but you know how to fix, then
yes,
you should, you will usually be confident,
confident.
let
Yeah,
anything break, I'll be there.
correct. That's the thing. So Nilesh,
Yeah.
next question I had in my mind is like, as you said, you were in that steel company. In the core company, you wanted to go into the sales. So it was a non-IT company, right? So
Yeah.
you switched to an IT company. Then you were working
Hmm.
for HP Quintana. You said, and
Hmm.
again you got shifted to ServiceNow. So it was like
Hmm.
more transition into tools, right? Like one tool to another tool. So, and I remember that era. So
Yeah.
always people used to say this is a tool, it will get, like Quintana,
Yeah.
it will also get, so in some days it will
Replaced.
also get decreased. People will be using some other tool as you are shifting
Correct.
from Quintana to ServiceNow. So at that time, any thoughts came in your mind, let's switch to a skill set like Java, or as you said, PLSQL database,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
get shifted to a skill set where I can work in any companies, not on a tool, but any in the background, with any technology related to it. So did this
Yeah.
came in your mind?
Yeah, good question again, because there were some of my colleagues who actually, you know, thought about not, switching to a product, or, switching to a different tool for the sake, and they continued, to the technology that they were already working on, or they went into the core technologies like, Oracle, PLSQL, and so yes, I mean, it's individualistic view, how you want to grow in your career. But if you ask me, yes, of course, like, I was, with the flow. I was going with the flow, going with the money, as everyone is aware now today, who pays you more, okay, and what skill and where you can use your skill. So yeah, of course, because yeah, for us, definitely it is something that, both the aspects are there, like, I mean, financially or professionally also you want to grow, and at the same time, the way, like, the projects, the customers were also, the wave was, or the tide was turning towards, service now, so sooner, like, and we were already going through, some trainings, like, come on, like, very old days, like, we had this boot camp training for the PPM tool and all. It was also fun, and then, you are trying to, score some brownies, or, score some additional things, like, I know this, and, I mean, I have learned this first. Those kind of, competitions used to be there, and it was fun learning with, all the different colleagues. And that was one very important aspect of, the way we learned the tools earlier, and even when we started with, the basic versions, like, as I said, from 2012, and also basically we have had the opportunity to even see the Aspen and Berlin versions, where from ServiceNow. And yes, I mean, as soon as then, the concept of upgrades, wherein, we started understanding. Yeah, possibly. I don't even remember whether ServiceNow was the one who used to initially help for doing an
In
upgrade.
upgrades.
Now we do it, right? Because the steps are clear. So,
Hmm.
yeah. So basically, experience is definitely there, but there is a lot of, what you can say, importance should be given to the way the knowledge is being shared, because if someone comes to me and learns an upgrade, from my team, of course I'm talking about a person who will be just completing and his career and coming in as a trained service now trained resource, just as a fresh resource for the first project. I don't expect that person to really get going, but yes, there are steps, there are, experiences shared. And as you already are aware, like, the blogs or, service now
Community.
community or any knowledge, docs that already offer, what are the different things that you want to do, even for a clone, what's the concept of a clone, and what are the prior activities and what are the post refresh all these things are available. So I think when we were switching to service now, the only thing that came to our mind was like, are we going to grow, and all those kind of things. Yes, I mean, we were always only thinking about that. Yes, it was a happy phase, because yes, I mean, there was a lot of learning, and there are a lot of experts, as I said, around, who used to, there used to be internal sessions, people, I mean, my leads and all, they used to teach us different aspects, like, financial aspects, wherever there was project management related activities, wherever there was, the ITSM was always, something uh, that was, core. But apart from that, there were, many other modules that started coming up. Like, I remember suddenly, the content management which we
Management.
used to work. Yeah. So it is no more like, right now everyone directly switches to IT service portal,
But
the end user service portal. I mean, but yeah, I mean, that was also a different experience, what all we can include in the content management during that time, and how we used to build the different layers and then
UI
build the
pages,
entire.
yeah, UI pages,
Correct.
jQueries.
Yeah.
I remembered. You told me,
Yeah.
Amarji, do this. This is going to be a boom, this content management. Because
Yeah.
at that time, it was the world of content management. And as soon as I started learning it, then Service Portal came.
Yeah, yeah.
Then
But
I
it's
stopped
fun.
learning that.
To
Fun,
be
yeah.
frank, I mean, off recently, I work more on service portal based on, of course, like, let us go back to where we started, low code, no code. I
Okay.
still try to keep it to, the closest to the out of box, and that is what ServiceNow recommends, and that is what even we recommend to everyone, But yes, somewhere there will always be a need, some extra widget, some extra, functionality,
Yeah,
some extra
but
colors,
but
some extra.
that's the reason, Nilesh. Every time if you open the widget, ServiceNow has given that button, clone widget, because you
Yeah,
use as a base. Don't start from the scratch. Okay, it
correct.
will be very
Yeah,
difficult for you guys during the upgrades to maintain it,
yeah.
because
So,
as soon as
yeah,
upgrade runs, yeah,
and we keep learning out of these things now. But yes, I mean, that as you to conclude to your question, yes, there were questions in the mind, but happy and lucky to have taken the right decision
yeah.
and been using it viciously, and trying to learn the aspect, the concepts, and trying to stay close to what is being on offer as the latest versions. And
I had this question, Nilesh, because like directly, I was a campus recruiter, like from the college, what do you
Mhm.
say, from the university I got the job, and I was directly placed into Capgemini or iGate, you can say. So like my friends, college friends, we used to meet after the graduation, and we used to like sit down and ask each other what you are doing, what is your career goal, what you're working in, which technology you're working in. So everyone was like, I'm working on .NET, I'm working on Java. And I was like, what should I say? ServiceNow. They're like, what is ServiceNow? I was like, it's
Yeah,
a ITSM tool. Then what exactly it uses? Some kind of JavaScript, jQuery. So I used to tell them it's a flavor of all the languages. I cannot explain you guys what exactly. Just understand If you need
mm,
something, if something is not working, there should be something, you can't send an email to your boss, my laptop is not working. So there is an interface where you raise
yeah,
ticket. So from there people will start working and everything is automated. So at
yeah,
that time people never understood what exactly it is. That's the reason this question came in 2015. I am telling, like, people were not aware of service not that much, and
yeah,
you guys were working from 2000, like, 9, 6, 7, don't know from which time you guys were into service now. And when I came into that project, people were like, Amarjit, now project is saturated, man, we have done lot of works. I was like, I have just started my career, and if I say someone, Nilesh, right now, like in UK, I have 10 years of experience in service now. They're like, so from where you started? I was like, I started from service now. I started my career with service now.
mm,
Seriously, I've never seen a person like this, like who has started his career with service now. Maybe he started with something else, then Nilesh, they come to know about service now, then like
correct.
you
Yeah,
did, from non
yeah,
IT to IT, something like that. Here also it happens mostly. So
yeah,
there are very less people who have a core experience of service now into service now. So I feel we are the people, like, Gera,
yeah,
Rohit, you, Ketan, bhai, like that. I
correct.
feel like, they have core
Yeah,
knowledge of service now.
yeah. So you know, this is absolutely fun, because you never had to get, what issues were there in the earlier tools, or you never got to know. You're a doctor in service now directly.
Mm,
But to be frank, I mean, comparing, the kind of, work or the maintenance, that we have to do today, and if you compare to, some of the old tools, you can say, like, yes, I mean, it really depends on, what are the tools that, earlier people were working on. So in our case, like, when we were working on the HP BPM and all, so yes, there used to be, these different other technical teams with whom we had to interact. So if you just think about ppm also, the the servers, which had to be configured so that,
mm,
this application had to be hosted and all, then we had to separately maintain that. And for every support we definitely need, all the other IT teams, the server storage teams and all, to come into picture. Like, whenever, suppose, if I remember, it really depends upon, our configuration. And suppose if there is an outage, because, suddenly the entire, application is stuck, and I had, experienced this, and an application is stuck, and then there is a itoc team, uh, or whatever you call it today, so
security team, yeah, yeah.
security team and all. So they used to come up, and then they had to bring all the different IT teams, and they used to, first, try to get to the root cause. And then, mostly it used to be, the configuration, or, the heap size, the memory, is
Yeah,
gone,
yeah.
and those kind of things. So those experiences, like, and it can happen not only in that, it can happen in the middle of the night, and,
Middle.
after a tiring day, you still had to support it, and those kind of things. So I think, now, since after that, there are a lot of improvisations even in that too, that they switched, to, the load balancing, models, wherein,
Models, yeah.
they switched to VM
Nodes.
servers, which used
Yes.
to save a lot of space and, a lot of cost for the organization in the first place. And then, the load balancing, servers and all, they help, to switch over, and so there were less outages and all. And by that time, when ServiceNow is already here, if you see, there is very less to support, or very less for us to maintain on the infrastructure. Once you have your mid servers, which are something that, again, a choice wherever you, I mean, those kind of applications which you are using. So once you have them, suppose you are using discovery or those kind of
Mm.
things, then definitely you have to go for the, VM sizing, and, then build in all those kind of things. But somehow I would say, the things are pretty clear. And, there is a ServiceNow support also available at the last resource, if there is something, not working as expected. But these kind of maintenances have reduced, which is definitely a, big
Plus
boost.
point, yeah.
So yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is how it is right now.
So I have a, like, a question for you now. Like, it's like a fun memory question. Like, if you remember, we used to come to office, have lunch in the canteen. You, Manoj, Farooq, me, and you remember Saurabh, Chiprikar.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we used to have our lunch. And you used to be sometime busy in the call. We used to take your tiffin box and we used to put it in the
Mm-hmm.
oven, microwave, whatever it is. So you used to make it hot and keep it for you. Whenever you can come
Mm-hmm.
directly, we can have food. So it was a fun, like everyone used to be in the office. And what I can say, we used to play TT, and whatever the issue is there, it can be
Yeah,
solved within the office. We have the helping hands always
correct.
available. So what do you feel now, Nilesh, like pre-COVID and post-COVID, or pre-lockdown, post-lockdown, what happens, like what the
Yeah, I
changes you
think a
have
lot of
seen?
things changed. Yeah, a lot of things changed after, the lockdown, after the COVID. Yes. And I think, like you again, brought down those memories, which was the best time we spent. It was not only fun and play. Yes, everyone was very supportive, and I believe that culture was already built.
Mhm.
Over there over the years. I even remember the leads with which whom we worked. Like for 9 years, we used to have the same manager. For me, it was Gautam,
Mhm.
Prashant.
Okay,
So
yeah.
so basically, these people already, brought that culture, and we continued with it. There are a lot of fun activities already on our floors. The team sizes were about 200, and so the people will not even believe, like, I mean, we
Yes.
used to need that many people, because yes, I mean, for every module there used to be many people around. So, and those were the different groups. Possibly you were in one group, I was in another group, Maddie was in some other group. So all
Brother.
these people were in different groups. But yes, I mean, there was always time for gelling. And then, that floor meets, and then what Sajilal used to do, what was that? Shout, those
Shout.
kind of, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
shout. That was the fun activities and all. So all these people, like, I mean, they created that atmosphere. And at another place we used to see, I mean, yes, of course there was a competitive edge. The appraisals were there, someone scored much, I had to defend the folks who worked with me. Some other leads had to, defend their folks. All those things were there, and there was a competition, if I remember.
Competition, yeah.
Yeah, there was a competition, like who works better and who grows. So see, I mean, it was not just fun and work, but it was, focused. I mean, people are focused. People wanted to grow. They wanted to get to the next level. So, and then yes, the knowledge sharing, if I remember right. Like
Knowledge
what
sharing.
today, there are platforms wherein, you get these sessions, which are organized by ServiceNow, or there
Mm.
are sessions which are organized by certain groups and all, and then
Which
they
is
you can
organized by
leverage.
us. Which are
Yes,
organized by us.
yeah, yeah. So these were the sessions, and but those days it used to be only like, being together with, these folks, and trying to understand, what are you working on, what is that particular module you are working on. And then suppose if someone is having an issue, everyone, else around would be very eager. We used to call some of those folks were experts in the e-bonding integrations, because they continuously worked on those, that Tejas, if you remember.
Nilesh, I never used to understand, because you know that
Hmm.
once a guy is stuck in a module, he cannot come out of that module.
Yeah,
it is a bitter truth. We can speak.
yeah,
It has been 10 years now. So
yeah.
I was stuck in email notification, Nilesh, and I feel your project was very good. Okay,
Mm.
I will not name it. Your
Yeah,
project had a very good story, because it was just started, and where I was working,
correct.
it was very saturated. But the thing was,
Mm.
like, I was very much stuck here in notifications, I can say. Some people were working on catalog items. I was like, what is catalog items? Let me
Mm.
also understand. And they used to use glide ajax at that time, Nilesh, and I was like,
Correct.
oh, what is glide ajax? Because in email notification it was all front side, and I was not getting that much what do you say, of exposure to the server side script, bring data
Mm.
from there. At that time I was not getting that as well, because the system was made very complicated, and we had to maintain that. That was the
Yeah,
thing, and it was over years of 8 years already. The configuration was done on that system, and we were just supporting it at that time. But it was fun, and but
yeah.
I just used to hear the name, that EUS,
But
there is some
I
issue in
believe that
EUS.
is that that anxiety, or that eagerness to understand all those things is what has
Yes.
taken you today where you are. because I still see that as a somewhere, yes, of course, I mean, trying to get to work on another module and all was something, that everyone would be eager. But where the focus was on, I mean, already delivering, so today everyone knows it is not only delivery.
Delivery, yeah.
Along with delivery, you have to also bring in improvements, is what today everyone is asking for. So
Correct.
I remember, like, we used to create a lot of innovation ideas and all, but again, as you clearly mentioned, we used to stick to certain modules. Like, if I'm working on module, then I will only think about it. But yes, you already have mentioned about it, and that is the not the way. Looking forward, we have to still go on and learn other available options. Or someone used to say at our place, right, there are 5 or 6 different ways you can give the same solution. I mean,
Solution.
for any particular requirement, you can solve that by 5 or 6 different ways in ServiceNow. Now comes to the point where what is the best one.
Best
And
one, performance
yeah,
wise.
and yeah, and it comes out of, like, because you already know, whether you are going to use the client script, whether you are going to use a UI policy, whether you are going to use a business rule in again. So all those kind of things will definitely be measured. So yes,
Measure.
I mean, ServiceNow has
This is a really
given you
good
different
point,
options.
Nilesh. This is a
Yeah,
really good point. You said it was all about delivery.
yeah,
I remember people writing glide record in the client scripts.
yeah,
And it was not allowed. You have to use glide ajax. But at that time, it was just like the person who is doing the UAT, everything is working properly. Yes, front end is working properly. Story
yes,
is fine. Move it to production. So nobody
yeah,
had that much time as well to go what code has written because we were so much busy and the project was
correct.
very vast project, as you said, 200 people. And one more
Yeah,
thing I remember, Nilesh, like now if I get an award, anything like that, if you remember, our award name was pat on the back, if you
yeah,
remember. Yeah. So
correct.
at that time, within these 200 people getting that award, it used to be like a, I have achieved something in this project, something like that.
Yeah,
Because as you said, it was a competition always. Yes, I got that award, pat on the back award. But now, like, because we were in the team size of 200, so that competition was very, high
yeah,
competition, I can say. But now we have gone used to it basically now every time we get the award. But that time, getting first award in corporate world, it was really
yeah.
a good feeling, I can say.
But yeah, and to add to that, getting a team award was really something. I mean, because yes, there are different teams, and our team should get it was something. Like we say in sports, it is like, you can prepare yourself for individual sports, or you can prepare for team sport, but I mean, when in a team, you definitely have to make sure that everyone delivers. So
Yeah.
that's how it is also applicable to our projects. And yeah, I mean, today also I build teams, like, we used to work earlier. So building teams, trying to make sure the knowledge is
It's
flowing
not it's not
within
an
the team.
easy job to build a team. It's not an easy job. It's very tough. And I have gone through all this, what do you say, like
Yeah,
I got the inspiration from you only, Nilesh, like how you used to keep people, like I was not directly reporting to you, but
mhm.
somehow we were connected to each other. The main
Yeah,
boss was the same. So but I used to see how you used to keep the people. Like my manager was Manoj was also very kind with us, so we had that, what we were privileged basically. Whenever we used to tell anything, they used to listen us. So that's what I try to keep in my world as well, like you guys. So I'm just following you guys. We have to listen people what they are trying to say, because we don't know what they are going through, like they are going through
yeah,
which situation basically. So we need
yes,
to
yeah,
understand people. It's not about a delivery, or it's not
correct.
about the timelines. That can be shifted, but
Yeah,
we need to understand the reportee's minds, what he's going through.
correct. That's a very good aspect, and you really touched that point, because yeah, I mean, those were the things earlier on, and those are the things even today with
Today.
and a lot of people are still like, they won't come out and speak. So I say, like, if you have a new member joining your team, trying to make that person comfortable,
Mm.
by making sure that he gets all the opportunities, or whether if he is not aware of certain concepts, or the best practices followed by the team. So those are the things that we even discuss today whenever someone joins. And trying to bring that person to speed is not just a target, but trying to make sure that it doesn't create rework for us. It's something what we have in top of our. So I believe, like, whenever we discuss with freshers, or just service now newly trained guys, what we do is we also tell them what we are not supposed to do. So, like, how in the best practices it is clearly mentioned, right?
Don't
Do
delete.
not touch global
Don't delete.
objects.
Don't delete
Don't
anything.
delete. Yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly. So those kind of things. And I think, like, there's a lot of guys who are really learning. I mean, service now, of course, they have offered different forums, but I think now many of these folks which we hire, they also come prepared right from their educational schools as well. That is something that I have seen recently, and that is really interesting to know. So how people get to learn all these things even before joining their first company. So it
Correct.
is gone that far, Amar.
I was having Nilesh at that time when I was in India 2.5 years back, and like I had a very good team, big team in Cognizant at that time. So there were people coming and reporting to me, and
Mhm.
when I saw their CV, Nilesh, and it was written in that they are CAD certified, and at
Mm.
that time I was not CAD certified. I was like, how you guys? You have just passed your college. How you guys can be a CAD certified? I started asking them questions.
Mm.
Then they told me the process how you said, like, now
Mm.
service now, like, our companies are very smart now, like, so
Yeah.
this was an initiative taken by Cognizant or some other companies, but I have seen from Cognizant side, they went into the college and they hired just for service now, and they gave them the specific training. For us it was like, when I was in I get Nilesh, it was like all the trainings you get, and from there you will get any projects. Let's say you're getting a training of IMS,
Mhm.
infrastructure management services, so you will be given training on Windows, Active Directory, VMware, everything.
Yeah.
Then from there any project you will get. But this time companies were very specific, we need service now resources, so we don't want to divert our timelines basically to make them learn all these technologies. It is of
Mhm.
no use for them. So they directly uh, taught them about ServiceNow. So there were trainers from ServiceNow as well.
Yeah.
Cognizant had that much capacity. So they did that process, and this was the training process, and it became a successful process. And now they are doing the
Mhm.
same. And
Correct.
people were, it's not about you look at south of India, like basically Hyderabad and all, but it also happened in Pune, till Pune. I don't know
Mhm.
about Mumbai because we are from Mumbai cars. So I
Yeah.
don't know, like, any of the Mumbai colleges they came or not. But in the Pune, it was a boom. Like Pune, Indore, all the parts of India. But
Mhm.
not sure about Mumbai. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got a
Hyderabad, I'm sure, because
sure
one person I met was from Hyderabad,
Hyderabad.
who was
So
already trained, and so
but
that's how it makes a difference.
difference, yes, it was making a difference. I don't
Yeah.
have to explain them what is update set,
Yeah.
what is a knowledge article, so they knew something about it. So it makes a very huge difference. They can be allocated to project, and we are
Yeah.
there to help them. As you said, we are always there to help them, but it makes a very big difference. So I think this is a
Mm.
very good initiative by the companies.
Of course. Yeah. And so, if you remember, like, our leads used to always tell us, like, this is same. If you work in Oracle PLSQL, it is same. If you are going to work in PPM, it is same. If
Same.
you are going to work in ServiceNow, it is same. You just need to know. Oops. You just need to know ITIL. So that same
Oops.
thing will be for everyone. Come on, I don't want someone who has already a knowledge, about a lot of things, but if his basics are not clear, if he
Yes.
doesn't understand the basic concept of a relationship database, like trying to go in and delete something, and it will cascade
Perfect.
the deletions into the
Relations,
other
yeah.
related tables, and if that person is not aware, then it's a miss. It's a serious miss. So
Yeah, but
it
it's a
into the
human
base.
behavior. Sometimes I have observed this, Nilesh. Like, what happens if you make a mistake? So you are like, ready to hide it somehow. So they think if I delete this, nobody will come to know. But service now has everything in his history.
Yeah,
Audit
yeah,
tables are there.
correct,
But they
correct.
are very newbies. They don't understand this. Okay. But if
Yes.
you're deleting this, some companies are associated with it. Anything it can be, as you said, relations are there. It can get impact to the relationship tables as well.
Yeah.
So I think at that time, brain does not work when you are a newbie. At that time,
Yes.
sweat comes and you are in no place what I have done, and you start doing stupid things. So this is
Yeah.
very, I say it's a behavioral like changes, I can say. It's a human
Correct.
behavior that
Yeah.
happens.
And then the again another basic thing, since we mentioned at the start, like, we are sharing our experiences, or we are sharing our journeys for people to know, like, what are the mistakes that we did possibly, or we saw mistakes happening around us, and which will help certain people, who are trying to be into service now, joining this journey just recently and all. There are a lot of things which people share, and since we don't know the basics, then it really is like difficult to understand at that point of time. Like, for the sake of it, like, I joined a project, and where there is, the discovery is already being used, and if I don't know the basics, like, if I don't know what is port, what is a open port, what is
But,
4443, what is 221, and all those kind of things, if I'm not aware, I mean, someone already gave the training as well, like, but if I'm still not aware, what are the four different stages, in the discovery tool, and how service now gets, and what are the different methods where I can do a single quick discovery, or what are the methods
yes, yes,
that
with
that I
IP
can study.
address, with yeah, with IP
Correct. So
address,
all
yeah.
these things, if I don't know, so basically the idea would be, I mean, pick any topic, try to go through the basics, be, in a position that, whatever the trainer, or the colleague who is going to
Mm.
share, we will be in the position to understand it in the first place.
Plus,
Someone
yeah,
trying to build workflows, or someone trying to build flow designers, but not knowing what are the different workflow activities that can be used, what
yeah,
is a
yeah,
coordinator activity, what is a
yeah.
begin activity, what is an end activity. If they're not aware of these, so make your hands dirty, come on.
Yeah.
Everyone who tries to learn service now has a PDI today.
Yes,
You
very
can
good.
have your own PDI. You don't need to wait for, I mean, going back to our old days, back to the journey,
Please share
there
that
used to be
experience,
only
Nilesh. Please share
15.
that experience.
And the names were also very,
Demo
easy,
zero zero
like,
one, demo zero zero
correct.
two.
Yeah, demo
and
002.
And the worst thing was like I am working on it, something functionality I have created, and Nilesh can go and he can ruin that whatever the development I have done because it was
Yeah,
open
yeah,
for all. It was a shared
correct,
instance. Basically, it was a shared
correct. Yeah,
instance. So
yeah,
now you guys have a dedicated PDI instance.
yes.
So leverage
So
there.
definitely make good use of it, and I mean, whatever innovations you want to build, you can always use. Yes, of course, never use any customer data, all those things that your organization has already mentioned. Always follow them. Never use or share passwords. Never try to overdo things. Yes, I mean, follow all those things. These are, we don't need to, think too much into this. This is
Yeah.
something that comes directly to you when you try to just uh, get into one particular module and just try to
Yeah,
overcome that
it's
module.
it's as simple as like you're walking on a road. Basically, you won't walk on the middle of the road, right? You will take
Yeah,
a pavement lane, right? So it's something
correct.
like that. It's there in your back of your mind from your childhood, right? You're not going to
Yeah,
walk from the middle of the road. Vehicles can come. So similarly, it's about service now. So these are all the basic foundation things. It should always there in your mind. If you have made a mistake, don't worry, it can be fixed, but don't
yeah,
delete the data. So it will become more problematic for us to understand what issue or what the problem you have made, if you delete the data. Nilesh, one
absolutely.
more question I had. This is very important one for me, and because I have been working on TopMate also. It's a bridge, to connect with people. If you have any
Hmm.
questions, you can directly come and ask to me on TopMate, and I will be. So you get a bridge basically, and we can connect to each other like that, by say
Hmm.
paying very minimal amount. Okay, it's like a service. So there I've
Hmm.
dedicatedly kept a service like if you are getting an opportunity of on site, you should go or not. Uh, because I'm a person, I've seen you going to US multiple times, multiple countries. You have been there for 2 years, 3 years. I've seen there, and we had that feeling as well. Like, a person is sitting on site. So we used
Mm.
to work in second shifts, and at that time we were
Right.
always like, when it is 6 7 p.m., oh, my on site has come, I need to ping him, I need to
Mm.
get some data from him, because they were sitting near the customer at that time, and they
Yeah.
were easily trying to access the customer, and they can go there and they can ask anything. So for us, pov was like our on-site guy at that time.
Yeah.
And our salary was also very less in India during that time, offshore.
Mm.
And it was a very privilege we used to feel at that time when we used to go to on-site. But now,
Mm.
I can say, post lockdown or after covid, things have changed drastically in IT in India. People are getting good payment, I can say, a good salary in service now domain, basically. And one of the query was there, Nilesh. The reason I have added this question into this, because you were a very, like, you have went to onsite lot of times. So one of the guy was there, he came to me and he told me, like, I'm getting x amount of salary, and in UK I'm getting. I was
Mm.
like, what is your salary in India? He told me X amount, which was very good. And if we do
Mhm.
the parity check, it was same, because he had his own house. He was doing a working from home from India, so he don't have to pay a rent. When he
Mhm.
comes here, Nilesh, he has to pay the rent. But it's
Yeah.
just a feeling, I have achieved, I have come to UK, I have come to US. I feel like people are like, they have seen, people like you, you were on site. So I think they just want to accomplish this thing. I just want to go on site,
Correct.
whether the salary is less or more, but I have a
Right.
dream, I need to accomplish it. But
Right.
after coming here, things have changed a lot, because inflation rate is high, Nilesh, right now. So can you put
Mhm.
some lights on it, like, so that
See,
people can get.
so my very very foremost question to any person who wants to go is, what is that you want to achieve? Okay, what do you want to achieve? Yes, there was a time when, going to on-site, and coming back in a year or couple of years would make a difference, because you're earning something there, and then just coming back here, and then you're just multiplying it. Now, as you clearly mentioned, if you're earning the same amount in salary
Mm,
in a package over here, salary shouldn't be the only aim, is
yeah,
the first most and foremost thing. Are you trying to overcome your fears? Are you trying to adapt and learn what is being in that other country, whether it is UK, US, or any other country? Yes, it's a good experience, going for experience, work experience,
definitely.
trying to know people and all. If that is in your mind, very well, like I mean, that definitely, meeting a lot of people from different areas, from different countries, different, I'm not even talking ethnic and all, I'm talking like in even in expertise also, you know
Expertise, yes.
if you yeah, if you get to know all these people, it's a very wonderful experience. you know uh, I mean, you really get to get the help and get to help others in work, and learn exactly what they work on. So, like, I met a lot of IT people from different companies, wherein they were experts in Linux and those kind of domains over there, and which was not at all my area. When I used to sit with them, I mean, they used to give me shortcuts, or they used to tell me, just type this command, and everything will be done. Like, if you just want to clear the cache, if you just want to start or shut down the servers and those kind of things, you get to learn, because you're there, you are directly at the face of the horse's mouth,
Mm,
you can say. Okay, you're just
def-
in front. Yes, it's a very good experience to have, because you get to learn a lot of things. Yes, in some areas you can also say there's a balanced work life also there, in many places. Like, because in some of these countries they do follow the timelines, or in suppose if you consider in India, then it again depends on you, whether you like to work only in a morning shift, or whether you are okay to work, a little late afternoon shift, like, which is the US shift or the UK shift, whichever you prefer. So the preference is yours. If you're only going for money, you can earn the same amount of money here, is the clear
Yeah,
line. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But if it is for anything else apart from only earning money, yes, you can definitely opt, and you can learn all those experiences. And then, yes, of course, there are many people today who even think about, I mean, patenting and all those kind of things. I've seen people now going to these abroad countries because, you can easily do some patents, and, you can do some, your own inventions and those kind of things. There are a lot of
Yeah.
scientists abroad
And
who are Indians. Why is
mm,
that so? Because they feel they are getting a good life and they get more exposure, or they feel, but the same amount of inventions and everything is happening over here in India as well. So it totally depends. Okay,
correct,
the choice
correct.
is ours.
Perfect. Yeah. And last one, last question, because we have covered everything what I had in my mind. Thanks for that. So, last question, Nilesh, is your input to someone. If he's a newbie into service now, how he can grow and how he can make a good life in service now, basically.
Number one, you have to lay your own foundation.
Mm,
Whatever the basics, foundation basics are there, you have to learn it. You have to be a master in that. Slowly, over the period of time, make sure that you are doing your own things independently. You should never say, like, I will always be relying on my colleague or lead who will help me. So it's good to learn it for the first time. It's good to watch it for the first time. It's good to try it for the first time, those kind of things. And in that process you will do mistakes. Even your lead, he will understand that as a newbie you can commit mistakes. It's better to learn what kind of mistakes can happen, but the only important thing is never do the same mistake again.
mm,
If I tell you for one day that, I mean, do not delete things directly, make sure that you understand. And still if you do that same mistake on the second day, then I can't help you. So basic things to follow. Next,
yeah.
keep learning. There are so many forums, there are so many different trainings, or you need to build that time. Again, it is not about it. Some organizations, or some projects, I would say, might have might give you that time, that in the same day hours you might get to learn few things, but not necessarily. Sometimes the projects are too full and we have to work all the 8 9 hours on the project. But then you do spare some time, if not on a daily basis, at least during the weekends, to try to learn at least one module at a time, and try to be a master in that particular module. Slowly and steadily try to come to another new module. Scripting is always something that people fear. I have never done scripting. There are basic courses to start with, and age is not a bar. Like, we can always start. I know someone from the past, they used to work in some different zones, but at the age of 60 they start coding or scripting.
Mm.
There are
So,
those kind of people also,
yeah,
so
yeah, I know.
they are inspiration to a lot of people like us, like, so yes, I mean, I mean, there are some areas like you become the master, there are some areas where someone else is a master, and try to be a team member. And in that process make sure that you are not creating a load of work for others, because you are not available at that particular opportunity. Basically it's the teamwork that will only make you learn, earn, and grow together. So work as a team, always try to grow together, is the modus that you should always take. I would always vouch for that.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you, Nilesh. And at last, how was your feeling? Like, I know it was after a long time you're doing such things,
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
how was the
And I
experience?
never felt like an interview. That was more fun. Yeah, I know.
It was never an interview, it was a discussion.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Like, I didn't really know what we were going to really
Yeah, yeah.
stick to. what the discussion would go to. And but yeah, I mean, this was fun. So
Yeah.
thanks for inviting me, and you're doing a great job, Amar. Not only in your career, in your family, and work wise, but yeah, I mean, you are actually trying to help others, either through this, or I see, you and a lot of people, trying to help on the blogs, and trying to explain things that you have experienced and all. So that's a great job. Not everyone is able to do that. Okay, but yeah, keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you, Nilesh. Thank you so much for coming and giving your valuable insights. And because of this, I can call your friends now, to my next session. So
Yeah.
I will be like, Nilesh Bhai has come. Now you guys have to come, basically. Thank you,
Yeah, it
Nilesh.
was a
Thank you
pleasure,
so much.
Amar.
Same here. Same
Thank you,
here.
thank you,
Be happy.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.